5 Israeli hostages killed in Hamas captivity were recovered from an underground tunnel network in the northern Gaza. The 3 soldiers and 2 civilians were among 240 people taken hostages by terror group Hamas of October 7. Israel said the circumstances of the killing is being probed. Meanwhile, Israeli army on Sunday released footage showing what it said an operation to dismantle Hamas's northern underground headquarters in Gaza. The video showed a section of tunnel lined with white tiles as well as a similarly designed bathroom with a basic shower, toilet and sink, and a workroom with a corner table and bench. One tunnel had a drinking water dispenser and a pile of bullets.
The Israeli forces uncovered and dismantled a network of terrorist tunnels of Hamas in Gaza. This is a network that was the northern headquarters of Hamas in Gaza. In the headquarters, which is located dozens of meters underground, we found weapons, infrastructure for production of weapons, laboratories where weapons were produced.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israeli forces are going deeper into the Gaza Strip. Netanyahu, in a video statement on Sunday, said fight will continue until the total victory over Hamas. Expressing grief over the rising toll of soldiers in the conflict, Netanyahu said Israel is paying a heavy price.
We are deepening the war in Gaza Strip. We will continue to fight until the total victory over. We will continue to fight until the total victory over Hamas. This is the only way to return our hostages, eliminate Hamas, and ensure that Gaza will no longer be a threat to Israel. The war has a price, a very heavy price in the lives of heroic warriors. And we are doing everything to safeguard the lives of our warriors. But one thing we'll not do, we'll not stop until we achieve victory.
Shifting focus to Russia-Ukraine war, where military exchange from both sides claimed to have downed enemy aircraft on Sunday in different areas of the 1,000-kilometer-long front line. The commander of Ukraine's Air Force said Ukrainian anti-aircraft units had struck a Russian Su-34 fighter bomber in southern Ukraine. The Russian Defense Ministry reported its air defense shot down 3 Su-27 fighter aircraft and 1 Su-24 tactical bomber in southeastern Ukraine. On Friday, Zelenskyy said the country's forces shot down 3 Russian Su-34 fighter bomber aircraft on the southern front, hailing it as a success in the conflict. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy delivered Christmas message to Ukrainians, assuring them of eventual victory over Russia. In the message released on Sunday, President Volodymyr Zelenskyy offered a message of hope on Christmas Eve from the Kyiv Perchesk Lavra monastery in Ukraine's capital city. For the first time, Ukraine will celebrate Christmas Day on December 25th after Zelenskyy signed into a law a parliamentary bill to abandon the Russian cultural and religious heritage and switched the official Christmas Day state holiday from January 7, a move aimed at distancing the country from Russian traditions.
We pray for the end of the war. We pray for the victory. We will do it today too, no matter where we are, no matter where we mark Christmas. Today, all Ukrainians are together. We mark Christmas all together on the same date as one big family, as one nation, as one united country. Step by step, day by day, darkness is losing, and darkness will finally lose. The evil will lose.
Turkey's Air Force conducted airstrikes in northern Iraq and Syria and destroyed 29 targets of the outlawed Kurdistan Workers' Party after 12 soldiers were killed in the past 2 days in northern Iraq. Defense Minister said it has neutralized 30 PKK militants in northern Iraq so far. Guler was at the command center following the airstrikes overnight and addressed the pilots, congratulating them for a successful operation. Later on Sunday, he attended the funerals of the soldiers killed and visited the wounded who are being treated in hospital. Turkey regularly carries out airstrikes in neighboring Iraq as part of its offensive against PKK militants based there. Well, Special Envoy of the UN Secretary General for Yemen announced a major breakthrough following a series of meetings in Riyadh and Muscat, which has been welcomed by Saudi Arabia's foreign ministry, stating that the ministry reiterates the kingdom's continued support for Yemen and its brotherly people and its constant keenness to encourage the Yemeni parties to sit at the dialogue table. The Saudi state news agency SPA reported on Sunday the meetings resulted in a commitment by all parties to implement a series of measures aimed at establishing a nationwide ceasefire, improving living conditions and resuming an inclusive political process under the support and guidance of the United Nations. Houthi rebels in Yemen have stepped up attacks on vessels in the Red Sea since November 19 to show support for Hamas. These attacks have not just disrupted the key trade route, but also posed a threat to global economy. More in this report.
The surge in attacks targeting merchant vessels in the Red Sea is compelling companies to divert their ships onto lengthier routes, putting a significant stress on the global economy. In the past week, Houthi rebels in Yemen have fired missiles at container ships in the Red Sea. Houthi representatives have declared their intention to continue with attacks targeting ships associated with Israel in any capacity. They cite their support for Hamas and express these actions as a form of protest against Israel's military operations in Gaza. Major shipping entities like Maersk, Hapag-Lloyd and MSC have opted to avoid the Red Sea. They're implementing a precautionary measure by halting their vessels prior to navigating through the Bab el-Mandab Strait en route to the Suez Canal. The Indian Navy's mission-deployed platforms demonstrated prompt response to a maritime incident in the Arabian Sea involving a missile or drone attack on empty Camp Pluto. Reacting quickly, the Indian Navy diverted a maritime patrol aircraft which was undertaking routine surveillance in the area. Additionally, the Indian Navy redirected the naval ship Malviya to assess the situation and offer assistance to MV Camp Pluto. Bureau Report, DD India.
And Spain on Saturday said that it would not join a US-led coalition to protect Red Sea shipping from attacks by Yemen's Houthi rebels. The Pentagon on Thursday said that 20 countries has joined the Washington-led coalition to protect the key shipping lane. Spain's government has been ambivalent, and on Sunday, a spokesman for the Defense Ministry told media that Spain will not participate. While no reason was given, the Spanish press on Sunday said the decision not to participate was driven by domestic politics. And also thousands of migrants left the town of Tapachula in southern Mexico early, while the hope of reaching the United States, leading the caravan while migrants carrying across a Mexican flag and a large banner that read, "Poverty Exodus." The procession came just days before Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrives in Mexico City to hammer out new agreements to control the surge of migrants seeking entry into the United States. Migrants are heading through Mexico to US to escape violence, economic distress, and negative impacts of climate change. This month, as many as 10,000 migrants were arrested per day at the US southwest border. And Pope Francis's Christmas Eve Mass in St. Peter's Square saw faithful individuals worldwide express a common desire for peace. Pope Francis lamented that Jesus' message of peace was being drowned out by a futile logic of war in the land where he was born, leading world's Roman Catholics into Christmas. And Oaxacans enjoy ornate taproot sculptures during the Night of the Radishes. Artists and gardeners gather to display intricately carved radishes reflecting themes from religion to daily life. The tradition dates back to the 16th century when Spanish friars encouraged local indigenous workers to cultivate and carve radishes to boost sales. Peruvian police carried out a drug bust operation with the help of Santa Claus in Huacal near the capital Lima. Officers dressed as Santa broke down a door with sledgehammer and helped to detain suspects. 2 men were arrested for selling drugs. Wars between powerful and heavily armed gangs have gravely affected the lives of refugees in Haiti. Christmas spirit was dampened among families displaced by gang violence and living in a shelter in Port-au-Prince on Saturday. The United Nations had earlier ratified sending an international force of troops volunteered by member nations to support the national police in dealing with these gangs. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Thousands gather in Serbian capital Belgrade to protest recently held polls, demand annulment. Indian plane passengers held in France over suspected human trafficking could leave Monday. India's Chirag Sen and Anmol Karp emerged champions in National Badminton Championships.
India's huge leaps towards becoming self-reliant in defense sector. Policy changes enabling increased involvement of private sector. From humanitarian assistance to rescue operations. Increased synergy among armed forces through joint military exercises. Watch Echoes 2023, India's defenders at these times only on DD India.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world, one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić urged a group of opposition leaders to stop the hunger strike a week after parliamentary election won by Serbia's ruling Serbian Progressive Party. The total of 5 prominent opposition leaders have been on hunger strike, including Miroslav Aleksić and Marinika Tepic, who started the strike on December 18. The opposition alleged major election law violations in Belgrade city parliament races, including voter registration fraud, bribery and result rigging, and demanded it be rerun.
To all those who are on a hunger strike, I would like to ask that they all end their hunger strike since, honestly, elections were not called at the time because, despite their lack of legitimacy, we had really won the elections and they had lost by a margin of 2-1. They didn't really care. And it is a significant difference if compared to the present situation. So let them return to their duties. They can organize protests every day.
Meanwhile, thousands gathered in the Serbian capital in an anti-government protest which turned into clashes with riot police. Protesters hurled stones at Belgrade City Hall demanding the annulment of parliamentary and local elections. Police fired pepper spray after a crowd tried to break in the Belgrade City Hall where the local election commission is based. Some of the protesters climbed the building and broke windows. Earlier, International Monitoring Mission said the ruling party gained an unfair advantage in snap parliamentary elections through media bias, the improper influence of President Aleksandar Vučić, and voting irregularities such as vote buying. Russian President Vladimir Putin chairs a meeting of Supreme Eurasian Economic Council in St. Petersburg. The EAEU is an economic union of Russia, Belarus, Armenia, Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. The meeting will be followed by an informal summit of the leaders of the Commonwealth of Independent States. Dasha Chernyshyova has more from Moscow.
Leaders of the Eurasian Economic Union that comprises of 5 post-Soviet states are meeting in St. Petersburg, and Russian President Vladimir Putin will chair a meeting of the Supreme Council as member states are to sign several documents. The Kremlin says among those will be an agreement on free trade zone with Iran. The meeting is also expected to sign a declaration on further development of the Union until 2030 and for the period until 2045. The leaders will sum up the work of the Union under Russian chairmanship in 2023 and discuss the spheres where tighter integration is needed. In St. Petersburg, Russian President will also hold a traditional informal meeting of the CIS heads of states. The Kremlin says it expects serious and substantiated discussions. Moscow also hopes that Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan will accept Putin's invitation and attend both of these events. Armenia has skipped previous Collective Security Treaty Organization's meetings at various levels, saying that Azerbaijan's actions and inaction of the CSTO forced Yerevan to seek to diversify its relations in the security area. Dasha Chernyshyova reported in Moscow for DD India.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will begin his 5-day Russia visit on Monday as a part of the ongoing high-level exchanges between the two sides. During his visit, EAM will meet Deputy Prime Minister and Industry and Trade Minister Denis Manturov to discuss matters related to economic engagement. EAM will meet his counterpart Sergei Lavrov for discussion on bilateral, multilateral and international issues. Focusing on the strong people-to-people and cultural ties between our two countries, EAM's program will include engagements in Moscow and St. Petersburg. The time-tested Russia-India partnership has remained stable and resilient and continues to be characterized by the spirit of special and privileged strategic partnership. A Nicaragua-bound flight carrying 303 passengers, mostly Indians, was allowed to resume its journey after 3 days of grounding by the French authorities at an airport near Paris. French prosecutors on Sunday gave the go-ahead for the plane to leave after questioning the passengers for 2 days. The plane is expected to take off again on Monday morning. The hearings were conducted as part of the investigation opened by the Paris prosecutor's office. India is also observing the 162nd birth anniversary of eminent freedom fighter Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will release first series of 11 volumes of compilation collected works of Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya here in New Delhi on Monday. In Amrit Kal, which marks 75 years of India's independence, it has been the vision of Prime Minister to bestow the much-deserved recognition to the Indian freedom fighters who contributed immensely to the service of nation. The release of Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya's works is an endeavor in this direction. The work is being released in both Hindi and English in 11 volumes, spread across about 4,000 pages, is a collection of the writings and speeches of Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya, collected from every nook and corner of the country. Good Governance Day is being observed on Monday to commemorate 99th birth anniversary of former Prime Minister Bharat Ratna Atal Bihari Vajpayee. In 2015, he was honored with the Bharat Ratna. At that time, breaking all protocols, President Pranab Mukherjee himself went to the former Prime Minister's residence and honored him with the country's highest civilian honor. Atalji's attractive personality and distinctive eloquence will always adorn Indian democracy. Atal Bihari Vajpayee may not be physically present among us today, but his entire life is an example. Embracing his personality and thoughts in our lives can be a true tribute to him. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday interacted with 250 students from Jammu and Kashmir as part of Watan Ko Jano program. More than 250 students from almost all districts of Jammu and Kashmir from underprivileged backgrounds are touring the country. The students have visited Jaipur, Ajmer and New Delhi cities. And let's take a look at other stories making news today. The Indian Army conducts a smartphone filmmaking course for youths in city of Kupwara of North Kashmir. Bomb disposal squad of Jammu and Kashmir defused an old rusted mortar shell in a controlled explosion in Samba district. The mortar shell was found lying in a field in Regal, a border village in Samba district. 37,000 women in India's Gujarat from Ahir community performed Maharas in the town of Dwarka. Large number of devotees participate in the journey of Safar-e-Shahadat in India's Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir in Poonch district to mark the sacrifices made by the family of 10th Guru of Sikhs. On to sport now. India's Chirag Sen clinched the men's singles title while Anmol Kharb won the women's singles crown at the National Badminton Championships in Guwahati on Sunday. The 25-year-old Chirag, who had beaten second seed Kiran George in the semi-final on Saturday, was engaged in a tough contest against fourth-seeded Tarun. While Chirag took the opening game 21-14, he lost the second 13-21 before bouncing back to win the decider 21-9. In women's singles, Anmol, who came off a win over second seed Ashmita Chaliha in the semi-final, was up against Tanvi Sharma in the final. The two had a tough fight in the opening two games as the honours were shared until then. However, in the deciding game, Tanvi struggled with an injury and was compelled to retire, handing the reigning national under-17 girls champion Anmol a 15-21, 21-17, 16-8 win. India women cricket team secured an 8-wicket victory against Australia women in a one-off test match in Mumbai. This is India women's first test win against Australia in 11 games since 1977. Dominating from the start, India bowled out Australia for 219 on day one. Shefali Verma and Smriti Mandhana's stellar performance, coupled with contributions from Richa Ghosh and Jemima Rodrigues, gave India a 187-run lead. In the second innings, Sneh Rana's 4 for 63 restricted Australia to 261, despite Talia McGrath's half-century. Chasing 75, India achieved the target with an unbeaten 38 by Smriti Mandhana, sealing the win on day 4. Harmanpreet Kaur and Rajeshwari Gaikwad's crucial dismissals further highlighted India's all-round excellence. Large number of devotees participate in mass prayers being offered at Immaculate Conception Church in India's Goa on occasion of Christmas. Also, markets in the Goan capital Panji are decked out with Christmas trees and other decorative items. Indian artist Sudarshan Patnaik unveiled a sand art sculpture at East Puri Beach depicting a reclining Santa Claus and incorporating 2,000 kilograms of onions. The inspiration for this creation was climate change. Hundreds of Catholics attended Christmas Eve Mass at Beijing's South Cathedral, marking the first since a 5-year renovation. The Vatican and Beijing have faced tension over the appointment of Roman Catholic bishops in China, a historic agreement since the 1950s aiming to ease divisions. NORAD, a joint operation between the US and Canadian militaries, has repositioned radars and satellites to track Santa Claus on his worldwide Christmas Eve mission. The Santa Tracker, launched in its 68th year, offers interactive games, videos, and educational content. Thousands of people dressed as Santa Claus ran through central Madrid on Sunday in a traditional charity race to raise money for the Red Cross. Many children dressed as elves in green robes also took part in the 5-kilometer race along Madrid's Paseo de la Castellana Avenue. Organizers say the Santa-themed race is the largest of its kind in the world. All right, and that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live, and Merry Christmas to all of you.